time for grown-ups and time for Christians to start standing up and being unafraid to tell the truth.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson dropping the mic on some of the more ridiculous and extreme social issues that are affecting us right now in the good old US of A and also other parts of the world. Now, before I continue, a disclaimer. I don't care what you or anyone else identify as personally, okay? You can identify as a hard hat, a pair of Timberland boots, a whole construction worker, a last train to Paris, a puff of train smoke. I don't really care what you identify as. I don't care who you think you are. But there's a problem when what you think about yourself interferes with someone else being able to live how they want to live. When you interfere with someone else's rights, when you interfere with someone else's children and you corrupt them or confuse them, that becomes a problem. And it's a big problem that's facing us right now in the US of A. I saw a poll from Newsweek that said 40% of Gen Z identify as LGBT. How is this possible when we know that throughout the world, there's actually about 5%, and that's being very liberal with the number, max 5% of the world as LGBT, probably less than 2%. So how do we have 40% in the poll? Maybe there's something going on that we need to identify and figure out before it gets out of control and widespread confusion just takes hold. Now, before I go any further, let's roll this clip. In this clip, you're going to see Mark Robinson in the church like a pastor. I'm not sure if he is a pastor, but if he's not, I can't tell. But after we get done watching that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what was said there. Then I'll give you the rest of my 2 cents and my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
There's something else I'm not supposed to say. Ain't but two genders. Two genders. Ain't nothing but men and women. And I can already see WRL out there. They got they licking their pencils right now, trying to write fierce as they can. Get every word of this here. Get every word of this. You can go to the doctor and get cut up. You can go down to the dress shop and get made up. You can go down there and get drugged up. But at the end of the day, you were just a drugged up, dressed up, made up, cut up, man or woman. You ain't changed what God put in you, that DNA. You can't transcend God's creation. I don't care how hard you try. The transgender movement in this country, if there's a movement in this country that is demonic and that is full of the spirit of Antichrist, it is the transgender movement. It's time for grown-ups and time for Christians to start standing up and being unafraid to tell the truth. Come after me if you want to. I don't care. You want my head? Here it is right here. Come on, come get it. I don't care because it's time for us to stand up. Now, I'm not afraid to stand up and tell the truth about that issue. They're dragging our kids down into the pit of hell, trying to teach them that mess in our schools. Tell you like this, that ain't got no place at no school. 2 plus 2 don't equal transgender. It equals 4. We need to get back to teaching them how to read instead of teaching them how to go to hell.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, that was fantastic. Round of applause for my man, Mark Robinson. I met him a while ago. I think it was at a Blexit event in North Carolina. And I figured he'd be able to do a lot. And from that moment, he became lieutenant governor. It was a pretty easy race, and Muhammad was playing for him to win. And we see now why he is the lieutenant governor because of what he said. That was on point. I don't see why anybody would say anything to the contrary. Some may say he's being homophobic, he's being transphobic. It's not about being afraid of anyone, because that's what that means, right? Phobic, you have a phobia, you have a fear or something. Like if you're scared of spiders, arachnophobia, you're scared of the spider. Homophobia, you're scared of someone who is homosexual. Transphobia, you're scared of someone who is transgender or transsexual, whatever the proper phrase is. I'm not quite sure. Let me know what it is in the comments. But it's not even about fear. It's about common sense, okay? Especially when you're dealing with children. I'm going to talk about the adults and what they do in a little bit. But the thing that really, and I'm never going to let up on this, and I said this a couple years ago when I was in LA filming the Jubilee segment that I was on, you can't have these little kids be on puberty blockers or hormone blockers. And it's not a thing that I'm just making up. I've seen stories of it recently where you had kids in school, like K through 12, on puberty blockers or hormone blockers. It's like, wait a minute, this is not right, okay? Just because a child may come to somebody and say, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm a different gender. I don't feel right in my body. That does not mean that it's okay to try to play God here, okay? Especially if you are religious, as obviously Mark Robinson is, obviously members of the church are. You can't try to play God and change somebody into a different gender. And biologically, it's not possible. Okay, if you're XX, if you have XX chromosomes, you are a woman. XY chromosomes, you are a man. Point blank, period, from a biological point of view. Okay, trust the science. That's science right there that we all learned in early K through 12. XX woman, XY man. Simple as that. Now, whatever you identify as, however you feel, that's your business. You can feel whatever you want to feel. You could feel like the Queen of England, and you could be looking like Bill Murray in the face. That's fine. That's your prerogative to think that way. It doesn't change reality. You know what I identify as? I identify as Elon Musk. Now, if I go to his bank and try to pull out $1 billion in Bitcoin, they're going to call the federales on me and have me locked up immediately for bank fraud. Okay, that's called identity theft, bank fraud, all of that good. I'm going to the who school. I'm going straight to the pokey. I'm not going to pads go or collect $200. I'm not going to do it, okay? There's reality and then there's fantasy. How I feel about myself is not the same thing as what's really going on in the world, okay? So what he said was right on point. Nobody should have any kind of problem with it. And it becomes a problem when people think like this does make you a different person in reality, and they try to behave that way. And you have people that are going to take advantage of these new allowances they have. Okay, the obvious example is men, biological XY men that now identify as women who want to compete in women's sports. This is unfair to women. The sports are gendered for a reason, not just because of segregation. They try to make it be like a black or a white thing, all right? Oh, okay, black's over there, white's over there. That's strictly a racial thing. A lot of that was social. A lot of it was just prejudice and hatred. That's not what's going on. See, men and women are not separated because of prejudice and hatred or anything like that. They have separate leagues because women cannot compete on the same level as men physically. That does not mean that women aren't great at what they do. You have plenty of great female athletes that dominate their sport, but you got to be able to dominate it amongst other women. You got to be on an equal playing field. It's unfair because men have biological advantages that are just given by God. You can't change that. You can't change the fact that men are going to have, more cardiovascular endurance, upper body strength. You're not going to be able to, you can't do anything with that. You can't do anything. It's just unfair to women to have biological XY men compete against the men in their sport. Okay. And if you let it get out of control all the way, what's going to happen is you're going to have them in college, and the coach, if he's trying to win and doesn't really care about scruples and he's trying to compete, he'll just recruit a bunch of transgenders or say, you know what? All right, you're okay in your school as a male, but come over here and become female and you can become really good. You'll be the top of the, that's going to happen because some guys, they want to win. Some guys don't really care about their morals and scruples. They don't really care about trying to truly identify as LGBT or whatever it is. They don't care nothing about that. They care about their own personal accolades. How about I get a free ride as a trans swimmer when I would not get a free ride as a regular normie swimmer? Okay, all I got to do is identify as a different name. 1 day out the week, 2 days out the week, when I'm competing in front of a camera, all right, bet. Free ride, I get the accolades, I get all the attention, and I'm good. Okay, the person might even be gay, but not necessarily transgender. I mean, this whole thing is crazy. All the surgery and stuff, especially to very young people, a lot of things that are irreversible. You don't want to have that happen. And the further we kind of go down this rabbit hole, people that vote for the Democratic Party got to think, it's like, wait a minute, is this what I voted for? If you are a religious person and you believe in God created man and from man came woman through the rib and all of that, Adam and Eve, if you believe in that, then you got to ask yourself, what's happening? What's going on in your world where this is okay? If your pastor is not speaking like Mark Robinson, do you have a pastor, or do you have a panderer pandering to the feelings of the liberal women in the crowd to be able to get money? There's a certain word for that. It starts with a P and ends with an imp. I ain't going to say what it is because we're on YouTube, but you could put 2 and 2 together and get 4 still. Okay. You're not going to put 2 and 2 and get transgender. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Mark Robinson for this really good video. And this is, again, the reason why he has become the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, because of videos like this. He went viral before, and it's not just about going viral for viral's sake or for saying silly things or ridiculous things. He's saying things that are just common sense, but he puts it in the ways where you can't deny it. You got to hear it, you got to receive it, and you can't act like he is just making things up. Everyone that heard what he said knows that what he's saying is absolute 100% unadulterated truth. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what Mark Robinson said at the church? Was he wrong? Was he right? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I thought what he said was brilliant. It was fantastic. Very well said. Couldn't have said it no better myself. And I think more of the black community, more of liberals in general, regardless of what color they are, need to hear messages like this. Maybe it'll help them kind of turn around. I hope so. I really do. But unfortunately, a lot of us are still kind of stuck in the matrix. I think this message, combined with the things that are happening out there that we can see, that we can touch, that affect us. Like, it's one thing to hear Mark Robinson say that, but it's different when you see something like that happen and you have a question about it, and then you hear him say it and he validates what you were already thinking. It's like, wait a minute, that's not right. And then you hear him say it, and then you hear a little backstory. Now it starts to really click and make sense. So hopefully this really helps out a lot, and it should. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.